Oh, hello. Oh, I'm just getting ready to prepare some herbs. For what? Something special. It could be magical, or it could not be. You never know what to expect when you first see these things. Just like the story of Aunt Cordelia. Would you like to hear it? Aunt Cordelia always dressed in black, but she loved children. Perhaps it was because of the death of her own daughter, or perhaps that is why she never had any more children. But children brought great happiness to Aunt Cordelia for years. Even as an old woman, Cordelia would make special treats for the children that she would happen upon, and always seemed to have some sort of candy on her to give away. Of course, not everyone believed Cordelia's love of children. An old woman, dressed in black, handing out candy to children, was easily pointed out by foolish townsfolk to be a witch. It was never long until rumors of the old witch flying across the night sky and stealing children began. And that is exactly what happened in Bavaria. In some nameless hamlet in some nameless mountain range, Aunt Cordelia was taken from our camp and dragged in front of the local magistrate and accused of witchcraft. Bound in shackles in a weathered black dress, this old woman certainly looked the part. When asked who held proof against Cordelia, a nameless woman in a pink dress stood up and said that the previous night she had seen a witch flying across the sky. The next day, she supposedly caught Cordelia giving a child a piece of candy at the camp in an attempt to lure him away. When questioned by the magistrate, Cordelia laughed and said she had given the child candy, but that the woman was angry when she refused to read the cheap woman's palm for free. Another man stood up. He was the local butcher. He said that he too had seen an old woman flying across the sky. He also said that both of his apprentices had been whispering amongst themselves about the old woman giving candy to them, and that they had decided to run off with the old woman in the caravan. When questioned again by the magistrate, Cordelia again laughed and admitted to giving the children candy, but said that all children want to join the caravan, and that the butcher was angry to possibly lose the free labor of his apprentices. Finally, the local priest stood up. He said that he had also seen an old woman flying across the sky, and that some of his altar boys had mentioned getting sweets from the old lady at the caravan, even though they had been warned that the caravan was a place of sin and darkness. He even crossed himself as he finished speaking. When questioned again by the magistrate, Cordelia, again, laughed and admitted to giving the children sweets, but said that the priest was only jealous that the children had not listened to him and were trying to scare them back towards the church. The magistrate thought, but not for very long. The magistrate announced that although he might question the woman or the butcher, he could not question a priest's word. He sentenced Cordelia to be hung immediately. The courtroom cheered loudly and followed as Cordelia was led outside by a soldier. She was walked to a large oak tree on a small hill outside the courthouse. Pieces of cut rope hung like tassels from the branches. A bench still stood in place, awaiting the next prisoner. A row of 9 graves were lined up, with 4 freshly dug graves open and waiting. With a jeering crowd, Cordelia was marched onto the stool, a rope placed around her neck and thrown over a sturdy branch. The The magistrate raised his hands to quiet the crowd and announced the sentence of death for witchcraft, and unceremoniously kicked the stool out from under Cordelia's feet. The rope tightened. The crowd let out a cheer. Cordelia's hands twitched for a second, then stopped. That evening, while lying in bed, the magistrate could not sleep. Over and over, just as he would fall asleep, he dreamt of a woman flying outside his window, swooping down upon him and jarring him awake. Finally, the magistrate opened the window in his bedroom to prove to himself that nobody was outside. He could just see the large oak tree in the moonlight, a body still hanging in its branches. And above the tree, he could see the silhouette of a woman flying across the sky. Impossible, he thought. Shocked, the magistrate threw on his robe, grabbed a small lantern, and went outside towards the tree. Keeping his eyes on the swinging body the whole time, he crossed the field and approached the old oak tree. Like a distorted marionette, the body swayed in the wind, repeating a macabre dance. The magistrate sighed with relief, lowering his lantern. Then it dawned on him. The body was in a pink dress. Stumbling back, he held up his light and hit his head on something else. It was a shoe swinging in the wind, with a bloodied leather apron hanging just above it. Giving out a shriek, he stumbled back again and bumped into the swinging body of a red-robed man. All three bodies swayed in the wind in front of him. Then he heard a laugh behind him. Turning quickly, he saw a glance of what looked like a woman flying through the sky, coming right towards him. The magistrate immediately turned and ran, right into the three hanging bodies. They seemed to entangle him, hold him in place. He struggled, pulling against their clothes, fighting to get through as the laughing got closer and closer. That nameless village is no more, but the old oak tree is still there. Ropes still hang from the branches and sway in the breeze. The rotting remnants of an old bench still decay there. There are no people there anymore, only a row of 13 filled graves. Aunt Cordelia lived on for many years after that. It just goes to show, you cannot always trust your first impressions. At least, not always.